Hey, awesome people of YouTube, welcome back to another the First Descendant video or TFD video. In this one I'm going to be talking about how to make a really nice boss in Python. You can use it on Glade, you can use it on Freyna. It is the weapon that might not be as good as a Thunder Cage, but it really works well with Freyna. But before we get started, I just want to say thank you everybody who's been liking, commenting, subscribing to the videos, and if you continue that energy, that would be amazing. We also have it on Discord, and we do stream every single day from 4 p.m. Eastern, sometimes a little bit early, but 4 p.m. Eastern on Twitch is when we always there. And you can also check all those stuff in the link. Links will be down in the description. But with that started, let's get into the video. And we're going to talk about, like I stated, the Python, this beauty. So Python is SMG. It specializes in Toxic Arc or Arca. Its unique ability is on hitting a weak point, inflicts the unique ability prey on target enemy, which reduces the enemy resistance per stack, non-attribute and toxic resistance. As you can see with the base one, you have 1 second duration with the 20 stacks, reduces your non-attribute resistance by 2%, and reduces your toxic resistance by 1% flat, right, when it hits, and then reduces your non-attribute resistance per stack even more by 3.6% per stack. So at 20 stacks, that's a lot. That's 72 non-attribute resistance. And toxin resistance per stack reduces it by 1.3. So at 20 stacks, that's 26% less toxic resistance. So if the enemy is highly resistant to toxic, it'll be a lot less, so you're not as weak. And if you max it out, it'll be even better. I'll have a picture on the screen with a maxed out Python. It is totally worth it. Now, how to build your proper Python is you want to look at the information. You want to see your firearm attack, your fire rate, the rounds per minute, reload, firearm crit hit rate, all of that stuff, you know. But before we dive into it, we're going to take a look at the very basic Python without any mods. As you can see, it has 1100 firearm attack. It gets 12% because of our weapon option. You can see it has basic weapon stat of 9,842 times 12%. It has a fire rate of 923, 30 rounds per magazine, has a 1.5 second reload time with firearm critical hit rate of 5%, firearm crit hit damage of 1.762, and it gets an additional 35.6%. Or sorry, it has a base stat of 1.3 and it gets an additional 35.6% because of our weapon option, which brings up its firearm crit hit damage to 1.762. Burst of 100%, attribute, status effect, which, triggers your status like poison, electrocuted, burn, all that stuff. It has a weak point damage of 2% and it gets an additional 11.5% because of the weapon option, which brings its weak point damage to 2.23. Hit accuracy of 61, aim shot, as you can see all the stats over here. Now we're going to talk about the roles that you want on it. Mine is not as amazing. It has 2 out of 4 stats and I'm still working on it. You want firearm attack, because the better the firearm attack, the more damage it does. And you want weak point damage, because you're going to use it on bosses. The reason why you want weak point damage is because, well, you'll do more damage to the weak points. That's what you need the weapon for. Firearm critical hit damage and firearm critical hit rate are useless because of the low stat. As you can see, even if you get 50 or even 100% more critical hit rate, it's not going to do much. It's going to get an additional 5%. So it's not amazing here. Weapon critical hit damage is not as useless, but it doesn't do much because of how often you crit. So those are useless too. So you want firearm attack, weak point damage. You also want toxic damage because it's synergized with Python because of its unique ability to be able to do more damage on the weak point. Once you hit the weak point, you reduce the resistance, which means toxic damage would be amazing. And last but not least, the last one is you want bonus firearm attack versus Colossus. Colossus are your avoid intercept bosses, so that's why you want it. With those stats golden ultimate versions, you'll be doing a lot more damage. let's talk about the mods that you want. Right, we're going to talk about the basic one because mine is not as upgraded. It does not have energy activator yet. I'm currently grinding for it. I got lucky and I got the blueprint yesterday. But the stuff that you want are this modules. There's another one that you want, but I don't have the lower version of it. Right? You want rifle reinforcement because it increases your firearm attack up to 32%. That will be massive. Toxic enhancement, which will take part of your firearm attack up to 30%, and it will add it as toxic damage. Again, more toxic damage will synergize with the weapon because it lowers the enemy's toxic resistance on the weak point hit. You want weak point sight to increase your weak point damage to huge numbers. You want weak point insight, again, more weak point damage. And increase your firearm critical rate, which we don't really care, but that weak point damage will stack with the weak point sight. Now you want action reaction. Yes, it adds recoil, but it adds firearm attack up to 61% more firearm attack. Yes, it increases more recoil, but that's why we're gonna run stand stabilizer. It increases your firearm attack by 1%, but reduces your recoil by quite a lot. Now, if I can find it, I can show you. Like, look at this one. It's already minus 19.3. The best action reaction is 20% recoil. So even now maxed out, it's already good. If you can control your recoil if you're a mouse and keyboard user, it's a lot easier to control it. You don't need that. Now, you won't consume magazines. Because, again, an extra 2% weak point damage is huge. But it also gives you reload time modifier. And even at base, you will see the big difference when I show you. You also want another reload modifier because you want to switch your weapons faster. Or not weapons faster. You want to reload your magazine faster so you can do more and more damage. Weak point quickfire, an additional 2% with even more fire rate. Fire rate allows you to put up more bullets on the enemy, allowing you to burst the enemy a bit faster. Now, if you don't want stand stabilizer, you can go for another one, which is, I apologize, if we can look at it, it is weak point aiming. So it gives you an additional 2 weak point damage, but it gives you more accuracy. The accuracy will allow that circle to go from huge to smaller, and it gives you that weak point, right? And for magazine, because again, you want more rounds, we're gonna go with weapon tuning. That's the one I like because it increases your firearm attack by 1% and gives you more rounds. Not even maxed out and get 22.3 more rounds. Now, if we, for example, take one of the stats off, let's say reload, and put that on, we'll go from, if I can find it. Oh, there we go. From 30 rounds to 36. Yes, might not mean much, but 6 more rounds before reload gives us more damage. Right? But it does increase our reload time a little bit between everything. Now, as you can see, all the stats increased. Our fire rate is now 1003. We have reload time of 1.29 seconds. Our weak point damage is a lot better. So we'll save those stats and let's look at it. Right? Oh, apologize, wrong one. You can see our firearm attack is still the same. Fire rate is still technically the same. Now, okay, there we go. Yeah. Now, firearm attack is 12,597 more. Our fire rate is 1,003. Rounds per minute is 36. Our reload time is 0.9 seconds faster. And that's without the recycle genius, which will reduce our reload time, which will be even better. Right? And with consume magazines, will be reload faster. We can get it down to a second or faster reload, which means we'll be able to spam our bullets, continuously keeping our proc of prey, especially if we have a weapon upgraded. Now, firearm crit hit rates, basic crit hit damages doesn't matter, but if we look at weak point hit damage, it's 2.46 now, which is massive. That's without any upgrades. We're already doing more weak point damage. Right? Now, if we look at it this way, right, our base one is 2%, or 2 times. Now we got 2.46, which is 25% more weak point damage, and that's without maxing. So you definitely want to max out this specific modules. Also, obviously, add Recycling Genius. I just can't put it because of the weapon tuning. If you max all of them out with the energy activators and by putting beautiful module sockets on them so they reduce in cost, you will have a really, really amazing bossing weapon. Now, I'm working on that. Now, mine doesn't have as many, but as you can see, mine already does more DPS. You can see 133 versus 207. And don't worry about the DPS, it will come. Now, I'm going to be working on reducing weapon tuning and getting that energy activated so I can put the wonderful weak point sight, which will give me that more weak point damage and other modules. Definitely work on those modules, and don't forget to assign the sockets and use energy activator on your bossing weapon. But with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you shape your Python to be an amazing weapon. With that said, don't forget to stash them. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye bye.